So before I can just go ahead and weld this sill on, there's a couple of things that need to be sorted out and squared away. So not least being the door gap between the lip and the door. I did have a considerable gap when I test fitted everything with the step. You could get, I could get all my fingers underneath. So what it turned out to be was the sill was too far in, and being that it's at an angle, even if you just pull it out a tiny bit, it's amazing how much height closes up. So once I worked out that the sill was too far in, that sorted that problem. But then of course every action has a reaction, and I was too far away from the edges, front and back. So this has had a visit to the stretcher, and I've managed to get rid of a lot of it, but not all of it, because if you keep going then you start getting it into an S shape. So I quit while I was ahead on that. The rest will just have to be hammered back. It's not much, so I'm reasonably happy with that. Now a lot of you will know, I'm sure, that there's some holes in these sills. This elongated one here at the front and one at the back here, and therefore the factory bracketry, that its main sole purpose really is just to hold a nut in the right position so that they can attach the contraption that drags the shell along the line, is my understanding. You can buy all this brand new if you so wish. My issue with the factory brackets, especially when some suppliers call them reinforcing brackets, is if you were making it as a reinforcing bracket, you wouldn't chop the whole back of it out. And I can show you a picture of a factory bracket, but I decided to make my own, and I was just playing around. There's a couple of different designs. I had a load of this shelving, click together shelving stuff, and it was about the right width, so I just copied the angle from the jacking point and just folded it up, and that worked out fine. So there's one for the front. Now the back one, the factory one, has no bracing or reinforcing part to play at all. It's basically half of a front one, so it is literally just a bent piece of 18 gauge metal. So it has no other purpose than to, like I say, just to hold the nut over the hole for the length of time it's in the factory. So what I've done is I've just basically faked it and just welded a nut, and that will go over the hole. If anybody comes to look at your Mini in the future with a view to seeing if it's been either restored or if it's original, is the first thing they're going to have a look, and they'll look underneath and say, has it got overseals? If it's got short seals, rightly or wrongly, that'll be a tick in the box. The next thing they're going to look at, if they know their stuff, is there a thread in the hole? If there's a thread in the hole, then that's the 2 ticks in the box they're looking for, and they'll be willing to pay a premium for a Mini that's either original or has been correctly repaired, shall we say, over one that's possibly just had a sill banged on. So the next job for me to do is to tack weld the jacking point in position and get a couple of tacks on my bracket at the front and then take the sill off again and drill all the plug weld holes between the flutes and any other plug weld holes like through onto the jacking point. Obviously, if you were doing this job, you'd be coming down to either an old doorstep or you'd have used the old sill and you'd be coming down to a new doorstep referenced off the old sill. If you've been following along, you'll know I haven't got that luxury. I just had to move the sill in and out and use the bottom of the door as a reference, so I'm just working to a fixed line. So I don't know how close we are in reality till I flip it back round, test fit the doorstep, and we'll see what we've got. Okay, so I've just screwed my homemade doorstep back in, and I've also fitted a couple of shims to this top hinge to straighten the door up, and I can now say that my gap is within fettling distance. We are low here, but I can see that's the panel, so I just need to address that. But I just wanted to check that I was somewhere near what I was aiming for, because otherwise you could argue it had all been a waste of time. So looks like the next port of call is to tackle the lower quarter and this end of the doorstep. But until then, thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.